Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 532. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, a man who has been very busy. I traveled to my father's ancestral home. I got to see Paul Bunyan and the Babe the Blue Ox. I then, what else did I do? I know I did something else.
You did win.
I got to see Weird Al last night. Yeah, Treasure Island Casino. Worst amphitheater I've ever been to. It was like a parking lot without the charm.
Oh my gosh.
Sounds like and it was hot and sweaty. We had tornado warnings at 1 a.m. So we were out down in the basement waiting to see when we were all clear. Crazy. All things are good. And then I watched M3gan 1.0 and then I finally got to see M3gan 2.0. So I'm all caught up. Charlie, I am out of breath. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Busy weekend here, too. As I was telling you, we had a family reunion on April's dad's side on the other side of the state. Then today, I had very rare conflicts that my parents, who have not been married since I was a child, were both passing through town because neither one of them live here in town. And so it was breakfast with my mom and her husband, and it was lunch with my dad and his wife. And now we're here.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it's good. And it's hot, and it's still hot as hell.
Hot as hell. And just to let you know, I did visit a comic shop in Bemidji.
Yeah. Was it a good one? Or?
Well,
was it okay?
Charlie, I think we need to get this pushed. Let's go talk to your buddies over at the Nacelleverse to make a show called Comic Book Shop Rescue, because while they had some cool stuff, it just seems like they're way in over their head, like too much inventory, nowhere to put it, no sense of how they should arrange it, no way to run a business. So I think they need some help. But I did find some cool stuff, and it was like kind of buried in things, and they had cool stuff, collectibles, autographs, and it's like just no ability to really get to where it needs either time, energy, or resources. So I felt bad, but it's a cute little shop that has promise. It's got some good traction. It has promise. Just needs a lot of help.
I know. Well, we'll talk to Brian about that and see if we can get that can be his next great program. But yeah, we've got a great show for you as always. We're talking about M3gan, M3gan, that had its unfortunately not super successful sequel come out this week, but eminently enjoyable, and we're going to talk about both films. But first and foremost, we jump in, as always, talking about the wonderful folks that support us over on patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, our Patreon Secret Friend Squad. These folks get exclusive programs, early shows, ad-free shows, and other Discord benefits. 7 days for free, half off your first month, and stay on board for as little as $2 a month. It's so totally worth it. These folks could tell you for a fact. My buddy Derek Trevelyan, the figure dude, Francie, who does my wife's hair, Luke Lore, our buddy Mr. Xbox Expansion Pass, and my uncle Tim. Also John Sidorf, Brendan Myers, Corey HD, Matthew Keel, our buddy Kurt Krug. I call him my agent because he helps me line up so many of these spotlight interviews. Tanya Lee, Chipotle Bear, Famous Seamus, Cam the Movie Man, Jay Newport 007, Prozac Man, a.k.a. Darth Prozac, and our new friend, Mr. FR8, Freight Conductor.
Oh, Charlie, you're going to hell for that. You know who also calls him that? Who? Joseph Moran. It's not cool. Call him Freight Conductor.
Oh, that's him? Is that really him?
It's not Joe. No, it's not Joe.
Oh,
but
okay.
Joe does the same thing. He calls him, and it makes him mad. So don't do that.
Back it up. So you said, and then I missed it. So what do we call him?
The FR8. It's Freight Conductor.
Well, then I'll tell you what. We'll draw a slash through it.
Leet speak, XX. Freight. Well, that's Freight. That's Leet speak, man. It's like M3gan with a 3. That's Leet speak.
M3gan. And as always, the awesome, nice family of the Twin Cities, Sean, Sale, and Henry. We are grateful for everything that all of you do in supporting us. Remember, visit patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. 7 days for free, half off your first month, and as little as $2 to stay on board. We love it. And we also love whatever the hell is going on this cover. We got a big fish eating a nuclear missile. And it's super. This is Superboy, so I said he looks a little diminutive. So this is Superboy. Yeah.
So Charlie, yes. So we got this covered this week. We got Adventure Comics featuring Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. This is May And the year, well, you'll tell me the year.
Okay.
This is number 332. The cover says Superboy, and the Super Moby Dick of space rolls off the tongue. Then we've got this
Eating a nuclear
space
missile.
whale with weird bat wings eating a nuclear missile. And we've got Superman saying, "Stop, Lightning Lad. You can't kill it. You know we Legionnaires never take a life."
Oh, he's got Legionnaire's disease? That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, so then Lightning Lad says, "I've tracked you across space, you monster. I lost an arm battling you, but now I'll have my revenge." And we've got, I think that's Saturn Girl and Helmet Boy in the box.
Yellow Helmet Boy. So, point of order: why does a big fish need wings in space? But then again, why does Superman have a cape? And is he easy? Is that a satellite, or is he like eating the Saturn V rocket, or something? And they're in space, but like you see some space at the bottom of the screen, but then it's just weird background.
Well, apparently, all of them but Helmet Boy, so I guess it's Conan good, works in space. The rest can breathe in space.
I work in space.
Helmet Boy can't.
I have my visa.
So, what year did this happen, Charlie?
Well, that's relatively easy because, again, the 12-cent cover price was at least what Marvel was doing in 62, 63. So I'm gonna go with 63.
Very close, 65.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Yeah, because we went from 12 and we didn't see the 15-cent cover price till the late 60s, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe even early 70s. So that 12 cents really, it hung on for a long time.
Parity for a while. I know at time, like, Marvel was 60, 65, DC for 75 at around the same time for some reason. So, yeah, I don't know if you can always judge it based on Marvel, but DC. But good guess.
Right. Well, yeah. Now everything's $5 and $6. So, yeah. But yeah, great stuff. What? Okay. So tell me about the storyline, or is it all just? Did they just leave it all on the page?
So there are many stories within this. There's essentially actually 4 stories. I'll give you the name of all of them. Then we have the Super Moby Dick of space. We have the Super. Well, I guess we apparently have more of that. The Junior Sleuths of Smallville was also the other story within this. Only 2, but yeah. We get when outer space is terrorized by a giant space monster dubbed the Super Moby Dick. The Legion of superheroes are unable to stop the beast. During one attempt at trying to stop the creature, Lightning Lad's own powers reflect back at him, but carry a toxic energy from the creature that numbs his arm.
Ouch.
He's determined. It is determined that he must be amputated, and he wakens to find a mechanical limb in his place. So Charlie, this is essentially Lightning Lad going Captain Ahab, the white whale. In case he's the green whale with maroon bat wings, and how they solve this, Charlie?
What's that?
They don't kill it; they shrink it down to size.
Oh, why does Lightning Lad look like he's wearing like a diaper with a belt? You notice how it kind of ruffles up on his midsection?
Well, it reminds me of Ash or the Army of Darkness when Ash gets like the cape. He's got the arm. I think that's where he was inspired by.
I've got a cape. Does he ever get his arm back though? Is that kind? Because it seems like nothing is like permanent in books like this. So it's like,
I don't remember Lightning Lad flying, but the Legion of superheroes or whatever, they did have Legion rings, which allowed them to fly. So that was something they all had the ability. Yeah,
I would be willing to bet he got his arm back because that's a little gruesome. But you took my arm. So the only thing that I see that is missing from this, in 1963 parlance, I feel like on top of the Moby Dick whale, or maybe even if you kind of look to the side of the far wing, I think I can see our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb, chasing the space waves on the space whale. But these days, she works for us for the fine price of $1 per week, or maybe $0.05 a story. Maybe we should give her a bit of a bump before we get sued. These days, she's down to the corner of Hollywood and Vine with all the latest news and scoops for us. Let's go check it out.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Madam Webb, you were also trying to make your way into writing, just like Jim Shooter did back in the day, because, that's how Jim Shooter got his start. He basically pitched a story as a young teen to DC. It was a Legion of superhero story, and that's how he got started in comics. Madam Webb tried to do the same thing, and she pitched a story about Uranus Girl, and unfortunately did not pass the comics code. So that was that.
That's some risky material. Speaking of risky material, it is now. This was weird. I read the story a couple of days ago, and there's not really like a great why are they bringing it back right now? But apparently, all three of Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man films are coming back to theaters this fall. And additionally, for the second film, they're calling it Spider-Man 2.1 with an extended cut that has never been seen on the big screen. So that's kind of exciting. And I say it's not good news all overall because there are three films: 2002's Spider-Man, which again we're talking pre-MCU, but it was the first big screen appearance of Spider-Man in live action. Kind of took the world by storm. They really raised their game with the second film, in my opinion. And then we got what goes up must come down with the third Spider-Man film. I got to tell you, I didn't watch, after seeing it for the first time in 2007, I didn't watch that movie again until maybe a year or so ago. I was so disgusted by it as a Spider-Man fan. But yeah, these are going to be all dropping in September. Are they dropping 3 days in a row? So you got to be like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. September 26th, September 27th, September 28th, and then there'll be an encore round running the following weekend, October 3rd through 5th. And Charlie, the Spider-Man 2.1, it actually was a release in physical media, so you could watch that if you really wanted to. I think it was just like had extended scenes and things like that.
I may very well have that because I own them digitally because that was the direction I went.
Might include it in it. I don't know. Do they include all the extras all the time?
They don't always, because I know, and certainly they don't include them like when you have a streamer. If you're on a streaming service, you're not going to necessarily get that. But if you buy something digitally, in a lot of cases, I think you get a lot of the bonus materials. But some stuff gets left on a disc, which ultimately kind of leads us back to physical media still being superior, even it's not as convenient. But when it's something that you got to have it, and I know you're not this way, but a lot of people are like, I got to have all of this. Like me, I have a binder that's this wide and this tall. That's the physical media of almost all of the Star Treks. Because it's like, first of all, I bought them on DVD over the last 25 years and then onto Blu-ray and then onto 4K. But I'm like, just got, because there's differences. There's bonuses that are just going to be on those bonus discs and stuff. So, but if you're a casual fan of something,
you don't need that. Right, Charlie? Because what happened to Prodigy? We've been burned. What happened to Prodigy?
Right.
Got removed from. And thankfully there was a physical version because it's on Netflix now, though. But I mean, is it always going to be there? Will it come back?
Well, we know it's not, because it's going to get bumped off, which is why I purchased it digitally. And of course, the argument is, you remember Rich, who used to record with us in years past, he was very much a purist of the disc. He says, well, if you buy it, you're buying a license and it could go away and blah, blah, blah. And I suppose that's true. I did.
It's not wrong. It has happened on Sony on their PlayStation. Yeah. Like, for some reason, their service, it went away. So they've got a new service, which is just so dumb. It's like, I agree. That is the biggest thing we need to do, Charlie. We need to go and we need to, everything else in the world is irrelevant right now. Bad things will happen, but this is really, really important stuff. We need to go to our congressman and enact digital rights. Right. So, basically, you own something. Even if you're eyeing the license, maybe $5 more, you own it outright. I don't know, something. Or you get a physical copy with it. We used to get the physical copy plus the digital code. And I don't even know how often that happens anymore. I think it's still
I'm not sure. If you go to your Target or whatever and they still sell them. But I know the last physical release that I got is when Star Trek Lower Decks ended earlier this year. There was a full series. It was $50 for 5 seasons of 10 episodes each. So, granted, it's not, it's $1 each, but again, it was each individual release and some different special features. And I thought, I love this series so much, I don't want to risk losing access to it, even though it seems very unlikely. So anyway, we've kind of flipped this one all over, but it does at least say this is through Fathom. So Fathom, drops old movies.
Rocky 4 is coming out, Charlie. Sunset Boulevard and the Sound of Music are coming up.
Right.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, you just saw.
I just saw it, exactly correct. So so this is right along that line. I don't know, Todd, probably not a hit for you, but I might give this a stab. I mean, if I didn't look at those dates, but if it's in the middle of the week, probably not. But If it's a
the
really
hard
quick,
part is if I don't even have the energy to watch it on my couch and push a button,
to
the
drag yourself
likelihood that
to
I'm going to
theater.
say I am going to spend more money on something I have the
Right.
ability to watch everywhere to
Right.
actually go see in a theater, spend time. But I do want to say, Charlie, with all this happening, I'm wondering if Spider-Man 3 will get any type of weird, like, Phantom Menace type of weirdo, like, "Oh, no, it actually is good" type of resurgence.
Oh,
Maybe not,
you think there's
but it seems
a
like
prequel style apologist out there who's going to be like, it was really great. I don't need to open that
it
can of
might
worms.
be the best version of Venom we got. I don't know. If you like Tom Hardy, I guess you got that one. We've got 2 versions, Charlie. Which one would you prefer?
Well, I
Topher Grace?
personally like Topher Grace as a performer potentially more than Tom Hardy's portrayal, even though he is a classically trained, brilliant actor who's had a great career. Those films were pretty dreadful. So I don't
love
know.
his accent.
Yeah,
Tom Hardy's accent. He's like
His toss-
he's like the Carrot Top of accents. He like pulls it
Yeah.
out of a case. I'm this guy.
What's so weird about that character is, he's got a weird accent, but he's frequently wearing a Detroit Tigers hat. So is he supposed to be from Detroit? That's not a Detroit accent. I have a Detroit accent, I think.
No,
It's
no.
slightly
But in
Canadian.
the movie, like, it was in Chicago, right? Isn't that where the majority of
No,
the
he was
film
in San
was
Francisco.
filmed? Oh, that's right. So we don't
Yeah.
really know where he's from and why he has that accent. So we don't know.
Right.
And I don't want to know. I don't want a prequel about Eddie Brock because that's what somebody would try
You
to
don't really
do.
want to tempt fate.
Don't tempt the fates.
to potentially
Sony's
bring him
listening
back.
right now and like, oh, that sounds like a good idea.
Oh my God, they'll do anything. Well, we're going to revisit.
But no interest
about-
in this. But if you like it,
Yeah.
and any movie that gets to be on the screen gives theaters an extra
Yeah.
way to make more money, why not?
Agreed, and we will talk about Sony and Spider-Man here shortly. But first, your beloved Denis Villeneuve, Mr. Dune, has a deal about James Bond. What's going on with this?
So yes, really, we don't have any new information in regards to like who will be Bond, when we'll get Bond back again, but we are getting at least an executive decision that Denis Villeneuve is going to be the director of the next James Bond film, maybe more, don't know. But I mean, the dude is really talented. He made Dune. He made, your favorite long movie, Blade Runner, 2049. But he also made Sicario, which was a kind of that heist film, or not a heist film, but it was basically fighting drug lords in Mexico. He's got an interesting.
Was that Clooney? Am I thinking of the right movie? Sicario?
No, it was not Guillermo del Toro, the other guy. Played
the actor.
stuttering guy.
The stuttering guy. It was in Star Wars. He was stuttering in Star Wars. Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro. Yes.
So you said Guillermo, and I'm like, he's a director, unless it's Guillermo from Jimmy Kimmel.
He's a Del Toro.
He's
so
a
Del Toro.
Del Taco.
They're all related. Yes. So this is going to be, obviously under Amazon now. It'll be the first film under Amazon. And the interesting part will be, what direction do they take Bond, and what Bond will it be? Will they go back to the beginning? We are getting a new James Bond game, Charlie, which is really cool, where it's actually going to be how James Bond was recruited, like we read that comic, it's kind of, maybe based on that. It's going to be how it's basically James Bond getting into MI6, getting recruited and going on missions. And that's what the game is, which is very cool because we haven't seen that before. So I'm curious if they're going to go that way, because we really haven't gone young with James Bond. We've gone with, a different take on James Bond through the different books. So, and chronologically, I don't know if there is a first like young James Bond by the actual, Ian Fleming. Or not,
right. Like there's
just
precedent
make it up as you go along. I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's
no canon.
Yeah. So I don't think so.
Yeah. No. So this is interesting, and it's funny you think about it, because this is one of the long-term holdouts, like with Barbara Broccoli and their kind of complicated relationship. And she finally sold it over. So it's like everything eventually crumbles. So it's like, everything gives. So it's like a very famous example of, well, it'll never be remade, and you'll wrest the rights out of my cold dead hands, is Robert Zemeckis and Back to the Future. He has said, no one will ever make it until I'm 6 feet under. So the
Have
day
they
will
been
come.
poisoning him regularly?
Yeah, the day will come that he'll conk and his estate
Here,
will say,
please drink this.
I'd like $1 billion. Here's Back to the Future. Boop. Thank you for the check.
Is that
I'm
under
out of here.
Universal? Is that Universal?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Right?
Universal.
Okay. So yeah, whoever is in charge of Universal, they'll send him a celebratory champagne.
Violent poison.
It's a great. Yeah, there you go.
Does
But yeah,
it make you think of Prince Charles in the Simpsons sketch where, would you like some more poison? Oh, I mean tea.
The funny part is, though, Charlie, they did pay her off $1 billion, but she still has exclusive creative control. I don't know how that happens. You pay her $1 billion? Is it just like
$1 billion?
She goes, yeah,
$1 billion.
All right, I stamp it.
That's a lot of go away money, because you give me $1 billion, you can bulldoze my house. I'll go get a different one.
That's not a golden parachute. That's a golden Concorde jet.
Oh, yeah,
so,
it's a golden Starship Enterprise, basically flying out of space. In that deal.
So Charlie, do you want to stay in the more like grounded James Bond, or would you like more going back, kind of like even with Sean Connery, which was the first Bond, but he still had a little bit of camp, a little bit of wink and nod.
I mean, Connery has always been kind of the Bond for me, Goldfinger being my favorite movie. Yeah, those movies from the early 60s haven't really aged well with some of the rampant sexism. But yes, there was a wink and a nod for some things not related to that that really scored. So yeah, I would like to see it not be quite so dour, and Daniel Craig's James Bond was very serious, and I don't think he ever really cracked a smile over much of anything. So I don't disagree. I'd like to see it be a little bit more return to form. So, and to see maybe a little bit more of that spirit. So that gets my vote. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I would like a good blending where they have maybe embrace the gadgets a little bit more, have fun with it,
right?
Because there's other franchises that have gone the serious route, and the Bourne Identity, so I don't know if we need more of that, just that they kind of blend together.
Right.
James Bond, part of it was we all knew the Man with the Golden Gun, Odd Job, all those very iconic characters, and we really haven't gotten a lot of those in a long time, so maybe it's time.
Yeah, Jaws. What's his face? The big, tall, scary guy in the Roger Moore era.
And Jack Black will be playing the character because Jack Black does everything these days.
It's like a generation ago when Chris Tucker was in everything, or Samuel L. Jackson. Todd,
Kevin Hart.
Some great news. Something that we have predicted after Kraven the Hunter came out and failed. Sony has reportedly paused all of its Spider-Man spinoffs, including one around Null. And if you don't know who Null is, you're fortunate to not have seen Venom 3 because he was the behind-the-scenes villain in that. But we do know that, they make reference in this story here, and this is off a comic book movie, is that after the Amazing Spider-Man 2, that was Andy Garfield back in 2014, because everybody hated it, they felt they had no choice but to sell out to Marvel. And they brought it back around again. I was just looking at some notes today in 2018, and they said, now we're going to have Spider-Man movies with no Spider-Man. And that was the first Venom movie, which was a success, unfortunately, because it then led to 3 spinoffs. But we also got Madam Web out of that deal, one of the worst films I've ever seen. And then Kraven. Was that all? Was it just the 5 films, or was there more? Morbius. Well, 6. Each one just worse than the last. So they had been talking
Kraven
about.
I didn't hate. I will say this. Kraven I didn't hate. It was
I can go with that.
Yeah.
It was very far off the source material, but all of it was. Because Kraven was not some anti-hero do-gooder. Hey, he was a guy who went into the jungle and drank herbs and punched a lion in the face. Literally, he was a guy who literally punched a bear in the face. So, I mean, that was his deal. Reported.
Sure punched a polar bear too. So they're like buddies.
Yeah, exactly. But films around El Muerto, Agent Venom, and Spider-Woman have been canned. And I don't know that we have an official announcement. This came from an insider, and I recognize this name, Daniel Richtman, as being somebody who's quite a scooper. So, this is really very welcome news. But the question is, what will Sony do with the character now? I mean, they're going to retain their animated rights. That's successful. It's critically successful, so people are enjoying it. Are they just going to sit back and make money off Tom Holland doing his Spider thing, or what's the deal? What's the plan?
Good question. I mean, I don't know what else Sony has in regards to films in the fire and big franchises they can live without. But I mean, ultimately, maybe they would be happy just to, because I mean, I don't know how many more films Tom Holland will be around for, Charlie.
Right. He's aging.
In the MCU. So then it's like, well, what do? Do you start rebooting Spider-Man again for the
now fourth time? They do it again. Yeah.
So I don't know where you go. I mean, is the Spider-Verse the future of Spider-Man? You only do animated and then he comes back again? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, we've been at this is the weird part, Charlie. We've been making Spider-Man movies for almost 30 years.
25 years. Yeah, 2002.
So I don't know, because there's going to be kids that have never watched a Spider-Man movie, despite being out there.
Right.
And so do they need a reintroduction? Because we've had the same thing with Superman and Batman and X-Men's going to get reintroduced again. So it's like,
right.
How do you do it? But yeah, this is the fly in the ointment. Do they buy Sony Pictures? That makes sense.
Especially in this never-ending turmoil with the Skydance and Paramount, and what are some other? I mean, you're Mr. Big Deals. What are some other mergers that are going on in media right now? Is that the big one?
That's really the big one, because Disney just finalized the Hulu deal, so that's done.
Right.
Everybody else is kind of just getting out of the business. I mean, in regards to and Sony doesn't have a streaming service, so I could see them going into even further life. I've even thought of maybe Apple buying Sony, because essentially Apple doesn't have any in-house studios, and Sony has made some really big properties for Apple TV Plus. So maybe it makes sense for Apple to take over the Sony license.
So Apple snags Sony, and then so what happens to Spider-Man in the MCU?
Well, that's the thing. If they buy Sony Pictures wholesale, I'm assuming they keep the rights. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Charlie, you have an official SFU lawyer?
I bet we could find one. I mean, most lawyers I've met.
We need an entertainment lawyer.
We do.
on retainer.
Yeah. Well, we've got Kurt. He'll find us somebody.
Okay. There we go. Let us know, because as of right now, I don't know. But once again, I don't know, after having really the best round of live action Spider-Man with Tom Holland, where you go next.
Right. Exactly. Correct. Well, speaking of where to go next,
Spider-Boy.
Yes. Spider-Pig. Spider-Pig, Spider-Monkey. I'm sure I've told you about Spiders Man. It's literally 1,000 spiders in the Spider-Man costume. That is another Spider-Verse character.
That's disgusting. It's like the Beanie Baby eggs inside the Beanie Baby.
All right. Next story.
That's his origin story.
Yes.
Birth from a Beanie Baby. It's Spiders Man.
Oh my God. Stop it. Again, I feel bad that we're mired in rumors, but this is one that took interest to me. So, Todd, you and I have both been enjoying Image Comics Energon Universe. Absolutely loving it. I'm keeping up with the G.I. Joe comic. Are you still reading the Transformers every month?
I own all of them, Charlie, on
Amazon.
You've
not read them? Oh.
I buy them with my, like you do, with your Prime benefits, because you're like, oh, I'll take a day later for $1.50.
Yeah,
so they're there. And I just am, and it was funny because I was listening to a comic book podcast while I was driving, and they talked about Void Rivals is now on issue 24. I'm like, holy
that's 2 years of publication. Yeah, you're 2 years behind.
I know. So I need to get in the ramp, because I love everything they do. I really like the G.I. Joe stuff. I really like the Transformers stuff. So
I just read
more into it.
Yeah, I just read the Void Rivals, the first issue, so I'm not up. But yeah, I had the same thing with the Star Trek Lower Decks comic. They started a second volume. I bought the first one. I'm like, I'm not going to keep up with this, and then I let it go. But I circled back and picked up another 8 issues and resubscribed, and the issues were $2 instead of $5.
Yeah, once they stop making the TV series, you're like, that's all I'm getting.
It's my only taste, and it's super funny. So I was reading a couple before I jumped on here. But anyway, so there is now a rumor that they're finally bringing the Transformers and G.I. Joe back to where they belong outside of the comics, and that would be in an animated series from Robert Kirkman, one of the premier creators of our time, of art in the last 25 years. He gave us You're Invincible, which are beloved. He gave us The Walking Dead, which is beloved to me. And let's face it, live action for G.I. Joe and Transformers since 2007, when the first Transformers movie came out, they've made a lot of money. They've made a lot of money, but it's trash. It's all so bad. I mean, April and I did a segment of our Bad Trip to the Movies with the Cardins about the Snake Eyes movie. Holy crap. Absolutely unredeemable.
I haven't seen it. And Charlie, I've heard rumors, and they were talking about this on one of the podcasts I listened to, that potentially, guess who may be coming back to resurrect the Transformers and also resurrect their career? Michael Bay. Who wants that? Nobody said, "Oh, I like the Transformers because of Michael Bay." I mean, are they going to bring back Shia LaBeouf too? And you know, the husband of Mia Goth?
I'll give you an analogy. Let's say you have a gallon of spoiled milk in your refrigerator, and you walk up to it after 2 weeks and pick it up and said, "Well, maybe it's good again." And you take a big chug of it and spit it all over the front of your refrigerator. That's essentially what you just described. We got away from Michael Bay. Let's stay away from Michael Bay and not do this, because I did read that.
Well, that'd be like the
I
did be like the first drink of the spoiled milk. Well, that's not too bad. Going back for a second.
But I did read that even that Transformers 1, that animated movie that came out last year, they're not moving forward making any more of those, and that was fun.
It was very fun, and the box office just did not deliver. And I'm guessing it's because people are fatigued. Because the Beast version of the last live action film didn't do that great either. So I'm like, maybe you got to leave them, step away for 10 years or whatever. I have more faith in this.
I do, and I've always been kind of ambivalent about combining the Transformers and G.I. Joe. It first started with a miniseries back, and I'm going to say 1987 is when the property was at Marvel. It may have been one of the few things that Larry Hama didn't write, but I'd have to double check that. But he did write. He wrote all of the core title. Bob Budiansky, who you and I also interviewed, wrote the Transformers title. So you had two core creators in their prime in the 1980s writing these titles, which were massive, obviously. Say what?
They wrote all the file cards. They wrote all the Transformers. Maybe they just need to team up and say, how do we make this work?
I mean, the thing is, we know both of those guys. I don't know how we could help, but I'd be willing to try.
We need to bring in our lawyer.
There you go. Yes, we need that. What we really need is an agent. We need an agent, an actual like a Hollywood agent to kind of make that deal. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know that Kirkman's going to need the help, but he's even though Hama is still writing their two G.I. Joe titles, he's writing one that's a continuation of the classic series, somehow ongoing, even though the series is 40 years old. Nobody's age. It's amazing. Where the title, and I'm drawing a blank on who's writing the G.I. Joe title, is a fresh start with little tweaks and different stuff, but definitely an homage to the original. But I'm fired up about this. I think
Daniel Warren Johnson was the writer in the Transformers.
Okay.
And then I'm trying to remember who the writer was.
Is it Williamson? William something?
Might be. But I mean, they are people that know what we loved about these franchises and are bringing it to life in such, because this wasn't like a toy company coming up them, make us a story, make us names. This is like, no, these are people that actually love the franchise and they see the potential and they know it makes it work, not humans. And then G.I. Joe, not bland suits, not, a weird task force that has no personality.
Right.
It's all about
Eco warriors.
Exactly. G.I. Joe is essentially like a superhero a group of people like an Avengers coming together, superhero, and then the Transformers they all had a unique look and they had a unique personality and something they brought them to life. So So I mean, and the thing with Kirkman, Invincible is an amazing animated series. Yeah. Obviously he wrote that and then made it come to the screen. He's also behind a lot of different projects. And the fact that he knows Hollywood, probably has a home at Amazon because Amazon does Invincible. I think this is a great fit, Charlie. I would love it. Even make it maybe PG-13 rather than PG, and it could work really well.
Could be,
And maybe
because
do it
really,
separately. Maybe
yeah,
maybe have Transformers, G.I. Joe, and then they cross over, but then they can do their own separate thing. Might be a great
right.
fit. Or maybe they just adapt the Energon universe, which, as we've seen, works pretty well.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that is definitely, like, the G.I. Joe comic is definitely more PG-13 because there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of gunplay. I can't believe how the character of Duke, you read the miniseries with me, he's getting shot and beat up in every, like, on every page of that. I have no idea how he's still alive. He's really all bloodied up and broken.
It's like Die Hard, right? It's like the hero
Yeah,
that
you're right. He's Die Hard.
Keep punching him.
Yeah, keep punching him. So I look forward to this. You can see just looking around this room how much I love G.I. Joe. All the G.I. Joe figures are on the other side of me here, but you can see my big vintage poster. I gave Todd vintage Transformers poster, which he destroyed out of spite and hatred of our friendship.
The move destroyed it, and I would say, if you have not watched it, watch G.I. Joe Resolute. I think it's one of the coolest takes on G.I. Joe.
I do. I think you gave me a disc, so I definitely have it. I think it's over here.
You got to watch it. It's pretty cool. It's definitely more mature, which is great, and actually it takes in the silly and makes it kind of serious, which is cool.
Silly serious. All right, last story. Stephen King's The Stand, which was a TV miniseries in 1994. There was a new version of it in 2020 with a starring a Skarsgård as the main guy. Baby Gotta Love Your Man. Captain Trips, right? Wasn't that who he was?
Was that like a Paramount Plus, like early exclusive or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Along with what, the Dome?
We love the Dome.
Dome.
Oh no, I sound
like Trump.
I sound
love
like
Dome.
I heard this. I sound like the Seth Meyers version of Trump. Hey folks, we love Dome. This big guy came up to me, tears streaming down his face, and he said, "Sir, I love the Dome."
Dome, clear, protective.
Dome, how little we knew you. But yeah, it was Randall Flagg is the name of the big bad guy, and Whoopi was Mother Abigail, which I love. Folks, we love Whoopi.
She might do better if she didn't talk, but she talked Ghost, and Ghost is great.
And she talked. She was making
pottery. Buy that pottery on eBay.
Oh,
sorry,
my
folks.
God.
We're doing impressions of Trump.
We're doing Seth Meyers has ruined me for that forever. Colbert's impression is pretty good too.
Yes.
But anyway, so The Stand, we've talked about this on the show before. I know it was in 94. It was your first year. I was still in high school, but you said you watched it in the dorms and you were like, you loved it. You were really switched on.
Charlie, because I was my freshman year. I decided to stay at the dorms. I was doing maintenance at the dorms. Like a camp or whatever. During the summer, there were kids that would come to the dorms.
Hubbard, you were in Hubbard, right?
I was kind of like a student advisor. Very fun, enjoyed it. But I was living in the dorm. We got a free dorm out of it. Why not? Cool. And it worked really well. And this was on every night. So hey, I had nothing better to do. I had campus TV, give me love, and I watched this, and it was goofy and was silly, but I still enjoyed it.
Who was the young woman in the miniseries? It wasn't Drew Barrymore, was it? It was somebody, maybe Shawnee Smith. Remember
Give
Shawnee
me a
Smith?
question. I'm going to look it up. You keep riffing.
Yeah. But anyway, it's looking like they're bringing this back. But again, what's funny about the reason it was a miniseries is that it's one of Stephen King's longest books. It's almost 1,200 pages long. But whoever is interested in taking this new run at it, and it's weird that there was a run at it just a few years back, is looking to jam the story into a 2-hour film. And I don't, is this talking about taking it to the big screen? I'm kind of scrolling back and forth here.
Feature film?
Feature film. So
Charlie, the cast. I just want to get. Can I just tell you who is in the cast of the original 1994?
The 94 one. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Jamie Sheridan, Gary Sinise, Mick Garris, Rob Lowe, Laura San Giacomo, Wally Ringwald, Bill Fagerbakke, Adam Stork, Ruby Dee, Ray Walston, Matt Frewer, Corey Nemec, Ozzie Davis, Miguel Ferrer, Connie Smith, Kathy Bates, Ellie Overby, Ed Harris. Just Ryan, Patrick Kilpatrick, blah, 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 and a lot of other people. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in this? What? And Sam Raimi was in this? John Landis was a cameo? Rick Aviles? Oh my God, Charlie.
The guy who was
many people.
The guy who was on the spectrum and he said something spells MOON spells moon or something. Wasn't he the guy from Coach?
Yes, Bill Faberbecker. Yeah, he also plays.
There you go.
Oh, he plays not Patrick. Yeah, Patrick Star. And makes millions of
No,
dollars.
that was from SpongeBob. Patrick Star.
No, he does the voice of SpongeBob.
Oh, SpongeBob.
Of
Patrick.
And he makes millions of dollars doing that voice, not from Coach.
That is what I'll tell you. If there's a career that I would love to, if I just dump it all, I would just be doing voiceover work. Make a gazillion dollars being the voice of
You want to do like hemorrhoid ads or something?
Doing hemorrhoid ads and being the voice of a talking, pop can or something. I don't care. But anyway, you think a 1,200 page book can be a single 2-hour film? I mean, how much would they have to cut out? Like 70%.
I mean, they turned The Hobbit into a 3 movie. The Hobbit's like 200 pages. Yeah, I mean, oh boy, this could be horribly wrong.
It could be bad because they could be like, okay, well, it really needs to be 6 hours, but we're going to make the first 2 hours and see if people like it and see if we get the sequel, because there's plenty of that going. What's the going expression? Start your engines. Like, oh, we're going to get you ready for a franchise.
We're supposed to be that starting with like the Matthew McConaughey, Idris Elba movie, and there was Ron Howard who was going to make a TV series.
And this is just Deadsville. If people, that's the thing is I had to explain this to my son many years ago because he was a big fan of the girl Transformers movie or Ghostbusters movie in 2016. And he was like, oh, they were teeing it up at the end. They were talking about Zool and a sequel. And I said, Bud, if nobody goes and sees it, there's not going to be a sequel. And then I tried to explain the concept of Start Your Engines, where you have people making movies that are like, well, you really need to see the sequel to get the full picture. And those movies are never a big success.
Remember when Sinestro had a post-credit scene in Green Lantern 2014?
There you go.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that.
That's all the example you ever need. So that will be interesting. And again, we love Steve. This is a Stephen King house. We love Stephen King. So, but yes, as Todd said, this is planned as a one-night / film stand. So we will see what evolves from that. But that's it for the news. It's time for me to get out in my Uber, order up my ride to get to where Todd always says, I don't know why he's there and I'm here, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. But the car pulls up. I'm jumping in the back seat. Nice leather seats, AM radio playing, and I heard this familiar advertisement.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover bands playing, drinks are poured. Oh my goodness, Charlie. There was some flim-flam going on in the world of the internets where a Simpsons character died.
I know, it was my fault.
What is this, Charlie?
I was spreading the lies. It was me. Yeah. It was me.
Yeah. So the Simpsons season finale, we kind of aligned that we think it's 36. If we're wrong, tell us.
I think so.
There was the finale, and this was a one-off story of essentially a kind of a what-if episode. Kind of like, what if Lisa and Bart no longer bonded over Krusty the Clown show? Because that was part of the thing that played up. Basically, they didn't get along, but when Krusty the Clown debuted, they said,
Itchy and Scratchy.
Itchy and Scratchy, Krusty Clown came on.
So
Itchy and Scratchy. And then they basically said, we will watch this every day together as siblings. And the premise was, though, that what kills it for any kid is when they baby it down or make it for babies. Well, they started doing Krusty and Itchy the Clown, Itchy and Scratchy merch for babies, Charlie.
No.
Like diapers. So then they spread it throughout the elementary school. It's for babies. And then Bart and Lisa found their separate ways. And that made Marge very sad. And then basically, Charlie, fast forward, and it's mild spoilers, folks. They said, surprisingly, Marge died before Homer. We're talking 30 years in the future. Right. So it's kind of a what if. And they said, The Simpsons have no canon, which is you know what? True. Why not?
To my regard, I always thought, okay, well, it follows some consistent story beats. Like there's a world that they build. But I for sure always thought the Treehouse of Horror was your Elseworlds or your one, like just the kind of silly bits. But I guess Family Guy is kind of the same, because it's like, well, none of this stuff makes any sense. The baby couldn't talk and the dog couldn't talk, and then the dog was dead and the dog was alive again. So it's like, but it's a show, that show's been going on for 30 years. The Simpsons has been going on for 40 years.
Maggie says her first word was a big deal, and it's like, okay, finally says her first word. And then we had that one episode about like there was a fortune teller, and they told the future of the Simpsons.
Lisa's wedding. Lisa became president. You know, and I do love the line, because it was a vision in a Native American casino, and then at the end, Bart goes, "How come there was a side story about Homer trying to find Lincoln's gold?" And the guy from the casino says, "Well, maybe the vision thought that Lisa's story was a little light."
So, long story short, this was just a fun perspective of some things, and I love the way the episode ended, because it is truly kind of like okay, we're having fun with this. But it is kind of a thought of like a parent, and you wish that, siblings got along, obviously.
Oh, yes.
It is one of those things, and parents, they want their kids to be how they want them to be, and so there is a good story arc within this, so definitely catch it. Charlie is apparently boycotting Simpsons until Julie Kavner gets voice surgery.
I want her to, well, I thought she was dead. I thought they killed the character off, so now I'll make one point before we move on. The death that is consistent in The Simpsons is Maude Flanders. Remember, she died by T-shirt gun.
Mr. Bopple, also the actress, died.
Oh, that's right.
So she's dead too. Because remember she also dated Ned. And
I know. Oh my God.
So Ned's just getting like, he can't get money.
He's the Black Widow. Kiss of the Spider-Man. Kiss of the Spider-Woman.
Although a great episode to watch is when Ned Flanders does a Hallmark movie, because it's filmed in Springfield. Great episode.
Oh my gosh. All right, what else you got?
Charlie and I are going to be talking about M3gan 2.0 in the back end. So I had to rush to watch M3gan 1.0. Right. So Charlie, I'm thinking, this is by Universal. I'll be able to watch it on Peacock. No, it's no longer on Peacock.
We were going to watch it either last night or the night before, and we got to the paywall of Starz, and we're like, we're going to jump on Starz when there's a new Outlander show on next month, so we didn't. But Starz is one of those you can sign up for 2 years for $12, but I'm like, we'll watch something else.
Well, what else do they have? It's like they have one show every once in a while, and exactly. I did jump on it, Charlie, because it was cheaper than a rental. $1.99 for 2 months, basically. It's a $1.99 a month for 2 months. So I'm like, sure. What else is on there? Not a lot.
You got to watch this movie. Yeah.
I got to watch this movie, but still cheaper. And then maybe if something else is out there from a movie perspective, but not great. But M3gan, which is really, I had been meaning to see it, but I just hadn't. So we're going to talk about it. I really did enjoy the film. It did have some flim flam, because I thought, oh my God, she's going to kill everybody. It's going to be horrible. I think the body count, when it came down to it, was really like where she actually did the bad thing.
Yeah.
She really only killed a person and a dog. Everything else was kind of like,
it was a setup.
It was a setup. Yeah.
The little boy. Yeah. There was an extended version where it was a little more graphic in the scene with the forest, where she'd see her rip the kid's ear off.
Oh yeah. That was like, oh God, what is she going to do? And then, it was kind of like, she actually didn't kill the kid, but
he fell down and stepped in front of a car, and
if she hadn't been involved, though, it wouldn't have happened. So, in some ways, yes, she was responsible. Although he was a dirtbag. So, yes, he was a dirtbag. Or man's laughter, as that was pretty funny from the from the new Naked Gun film.
It is very interesting to go from this into what we're going to be talking about, is how this. And I watched a Mojo video on YouTube about genre changes within a franchise. Because significant changes between this one and what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, this is your standard like Chucky, but it's been updated. So that's really all it is. It's Chucky.
Yeah.
Except there was no like voodoo doll, like his spirit goes into a doll. Yeah. Because I think that's what happened. Like, didn't he deal with the devil?
It did.
Brad Dourif made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, we watched that movie not that long ago. Yeah, it was Brad Dourif made a deal with the devil, and then he gets killed in a shootout in a toy store where
child killer.
He bleeds on a doll, which then gets thrown out, and somebody gets it out of a dumpster and sells it to Catherine Hicks, and That's that movie.
Yeah, so there's no like deal with the devil. It's just bad AI. So obviously,
exactly.
yeah. So we know that. But yeah, highly entertaining. No post credit scene, but we do get like that wink and nod of like, oh, this is a franchise now. So
Right.
we'll see where that goes. But I really enjoyed it. Very fun. And then my last thing that I watched was Conan O'Brien Must Go, episode 1. This series is on Max. So if you are a fan of Conan O'Brien like I was, he is now. He used to do these remotes where he is just absolutely.
You're not a fan anymore.
No, of like the show, but now in the podcast era of Conan, this is kind of one of those things. But what he used to do was he used to do these like remotes where he'd go in and do something silly, like he'd play on an old school baseball team, or he'd be awkward Conan. Well, now he does the podcast where Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, and he has basically people that come on a show that are just normal people, and they talk to him. Well, he's basically turned that into I'm going to go visit that person I talked to and show up and have adventures where they live. And the first episode is this guy he was interviewing from Norway. He is a DJ rapper, and they were talking, and Conan's like, this is so bizarre, so I'm going to go visit him. So he goes to Norway, Charlie. And this show is hilarious. It's just Conan going full on. Like he meets the guy, like just shows up and surprises him. And he's got this band where it's like a DJ rapper with like techno sounds. So Conan decides to be their manager, but he wants them to pay him, which is absolutely hilarious. So they go to the ATM. Then they go visit like a reenactment. Think of like the Civil War reenactment, but Norwegians, it's Vikings. So he goes to this camp, and so Conan decides to be Conan the Red. And it's absolutely hilarious because Conan goes full on. He gets bearded up and everything, and it's really good. So if you like that type of awkward Conan humor where he's interacting with people, I highly recommend it. It made me laugh so much.
Yeah,
Charlie, I think you guys would love it. It's awkward. And Conan is just that big orange-headed American that makes us smile.
The Orange Man. Oh my goodness. Well, cool. Well, I'll blast through. Nothing super substantive here, and one of the things we're talking about, we're keeping it spoiler free. But I get sucked into documentaries. We live in the era of documentaries. A documentary about everything. Well, CNN over the years, and I'm not sure when these came out, has done 7-part, about 1 hour each, on decades, right? So the 2000s snagged me, and each episode covers a different aspect of the time frame they're talking about. The first one was the first one is often TV. It may follow the same format every time. The first one is TV. The second one is music. Then they get into politics. Then they get into events. Then they get into what am I? I'm struggling. I had it on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, going through, and so the 2000s was fascinating because it took us through, the 2000 election and the hanging chads in Florida, and it took us through 9/11, of course, which is so different. Yes,
you can blame Florida for that, because I was living in Florida when all of that happened. I was in the Panhandle, Charlie, and people often forget that I was the part of Florida that was in the central time zone.
Oh, goodness.
It's like, we forgot Florida has 2 time zones.
Right. I can still get out and vote twice. But yeah, no, that was fascinating. The 9/11 stuff is, of course, always very hard to watch. And they take us through Barack Obama becoming president. And then, getting shades of Donald Trump, which is what we're going to get in the 2010s. And the 2010s walk us all through that Hillary and, Benghazi, and then the first Trump presidency.
Go to the polls.
Pokemon go to the polls. And this one, actually, they step a little bit over the line, because the last episode, the 2010 ones, was about 2020, the year that changed everything, because it did. We had the pandemic, we had an absolutely horrifying election cycle, and then there was a third thing. What's the third thing about 2020 that was so awful?
Well, we had the election. I mean, COVID, the election. Is there something else that happened badly in 2020?
I don't know.
I've omitted from my brain.
Well, I'll tell you what it is, because they tipped over the line into 2021, and they covered January 6th. So that's really, it's so close to being
well,
2020.
I mean, are they really going to wait another 6 years?
No.
You got to wait another 6 years, Charlie.
But
Or,
yeah,
no,
but
5
going all
years,
the way
no.
through it.
Yeah.
So it was a crazy 20 years. But as I look through, they have them going back to the 60s. They have the 60s, the 70s.
Is that when it started? I couldn't remember if it started.
It must have been, yeah. So it's basically it's the 60s through the 2010s. So they have 6 episodes.
Oh, the good old days, right?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, exactly. So admittedly, we started watching the 90s one, and April was kind of rumbling and mumbling and grumbling. I think she was sick of it. But when they started talking about 90210 and Seinfeld and Nirvana and like all the stuff from our youth, and Alanis Morissette,
Did Color Me Bad show up?
They did not. I wish they did. Yeah, gasp. But it's good. Yeah, it's good stuff. So yeah, those are over on Max. So a lot of the stuff we're recommending is on Max.
I love it. It's like that. What was the show we used to watch? It was on VH1. It was the week.
Oh,
remember they did those like it was the soap or it was Joel McHale did the soup.
Oh, the soup. That was on E.
Soup, and then
I think that was on E. Yeah.
E, and we also had like the pop-up video, which turned into the week that was on VH1, which we love. So yeah, I missed.
Well, the Daily Show was another one. They started talking about Jon Stewart. God, seeing Jon Stewart when he first started doing the Daily Show with his jet black hair.
Well, go back to what's his name, Craig Kilborn.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember that with a guy with his head exploding.
Oh my goodness. But anyway, it's good to tune into if you're of a certain age, whatever it is, or you just enjoy history. It's very well documented and produced by CNN. So, all right, we're not going to talk. Go ahead. What's that?
CNN is probably not long for this world, and we're going to get HBO Max back rather than just Max.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, exactly. Things are always changing. Well, we're not going to get too spoiler deep into this one, but we had our 2-week event of IronHeart. We got over on Disney Plus. This is a sequel of the character that we were introduced to in Wakanda Forever back in 2022, Riri Williams. And I have to admit, going in, I was like, I realize I'm not the target audience. I didn't know if I was going to dig it. Todd, I watched all 3. You said you've watched 2 of them. We're going to keep it spoiler free. I loved it. We were riveted. We watched the first 2 and like 3/4 of it that night, and the last 1 1/4 the next morning. And we're totally into it. But yeah, they're rolling this out kind of like they did with Echo, which was at the end of last year. It was like,
was Echo just dropped all the episodes dropped day one?
And this is 3 now, and then there's going to be 3 on Tuesday when you're probably listening to this, if you listen to it when it drops. I thought they did some good stuff. It's set in Chicago, where Riri got ejected out of school, and she's got to rebuild her life.
MIT, Jim Rash said, you're fired.
You're out of here. You're fired. So she's rebuilding her life back in Chicago. But as we've seen from the trailer, she gets herself into a little bit of trouble. But you learn a lot about her background and the fact that she's got the hero vibe, even if she's doing some bad stuff at the beginning. And faced up against actor Anthony Ramos, who we know from the Transformers movie, is the villain in this
movie.
Yeah,
it's a Beast Wars.
I think it was. Yeah,
Beast Machines.
I don't know.
I don't remember the name of that film because it was Beast Wars and Machines were the 2 series.
Yeah,
but I can't remember. Transformers: War of the Beasts, maybe.
But I like him, even though he's obviously been in some terrible movies. But yeah, no, I thought he was great in the role. He is the Hood, which was kind of established in the trailer, so I'm not betraying too much. So, but yeah, tune in. It's the drop is nice. People, I guess it's really hard to gauge interest, but if they're like, this is going to be a one and done, why don't we just knock it out? Because there's no benefit to us to not doing it. You know what I mean? The same way they thought with Echo.
This was like the end of an era with the MCU, like content when Disney's like, we're gonna launch Disney Plus. The first Bob Disney, and then the first other Bob Disney, and then the second Bob Disney, the reemergence. Bob Disney 2.0, I guess is we're calling them. Basically said, it's gonna be quality over quantity. So I think this is gonna be like the end of that with live action series. To your point, I loved Echo. I thought it was one thing that was under the radar and just really played out, really added depth to Daredevil and Born Again. Really worked really well. And then with Ironheart, the thing that I think I liked, and as I get older, Charlie, I think teenagers tend to be the dumbest protagonists at times.
So dumb.
They're too smart, they're like cocky, and it's like having a teenager. Sometimes they just think
Right.
they know better. And I
They
get
don't
it
know nothing.
because it's like you just want to have independence. And I
Yeah.
feel like she gets a lot of pushback against it, which I like, because it's like you can't just be the smartest kid in the room, but also have no
No conduct.
any type of, or just even repercussions for your actions.
Right.
So she basically was making her way through. She was allowing people to cheat at school. Well, you can't do that. And they're like,
Right.
well, I'll just go back and be my good kid. And like, no, this is your repercussions. You did something bad. You were warned. And the
You're
woman
out.
even calls her crap and says, no. You can't call that out. You did this stuff. You were given warnings and you still did it. So maybe
Right.
now you need to have some repercussions. And her mom is the same way. And I think what I also like about it is the fact that the way they treated some of the tragedy she went through with her friend being her new
Right.
AI, which is
Yeah.
kind of spoilery, but still, I love that part because her
Yeah.
mom, who has suffered through so much trauma, has someone to reconnect with that she lost, which to
Right.
me was very touching, and I
Yeah.
loved it. So
Yeah.
I'm
agree.
excited where this goes. I don't know where it's going. I will say the Hood is a hard character to pull off because it looks like he's part of like some type of like Renaissance fair. He's trying to look tough and hip, but he's wearing like a cape. I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't exactly show I'm tough because
Cape.
I'm wearing a weird cape.
I mean, the only really tough cape wearing person I can think of anywhere is Batman. You know what I mean? But who's
But
a
he's
tough?
not leading like gangsters who are tough. It's like I'm a human.
Dr. Doom wears a cape, but I mean that's not really But anyway, that's not really
but
his.
He's
hook.
got Doom robots. He doesn't have to worry about people laughing at him because of his cape. I mean, Charlie, just imagine if your CEO showed up in a cape.
Yes,
It wouldn't work.
I can take this man seriously. All right, and just to wrap it up,
But good show. But I really like it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see where this goes because obviously, if she's going to have a bigger part in the new Avengers or whatever is happening, because obviously we're getting no movies to build up a new Avengers.
Right.
How's she going to get brought in, recruited? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
Well, maybe there'll be a stinger at the end, and Haley Stenfield will show up like she did at the end of whatever
Everybody
the hell thing
shows
is, where she was showing up to
forming a
recruit Kamala
team.
Khan.
Cool.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm putting a team together. All right. And real quick, Todd, you're, of course, familiar with the Infinity Comics series over on Marvel Unlimited. They're the ones that instead of being a traditional panel flipper, which you get with any off-the-rack comic, you just scroll up. So you don't miss anything. There's no cutoff, whatever it is. Well, they've been doing these for a couple years, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I'm kind of the Avengers team that I love, which is the Avengers Emergency Response Team. They have one called the Astonishing Avengers now, but the one that I tuned into, and it's ongoing. There's a second issue not now there, but I read the first issue of H.E.R.B.I.E, which is the robot from the Fantastic Four. So this is obviously growing that.
Charlie, the robot from the excellent Fantastic Four cartoon of the early 70s, late 60s,
1978.
It's even later.
Yeah.
Was it post Thing Ring Do Your Thing?
It was, yeah. And H.E.R.B.I.E was a replacement for the Human Torch in that, because they didn't want kids to see the Human Torch and try to set themselves on fire. And you laugh,
right?
But they did that exact plot line in John Byrne's Fantastic Four, where there was a sad, despondent kid who loved the Human Torch so much he'd set himself on fire so he could be like the Human Torch. It was very sad. Very sad.
Is it like the Dan Aykroyd skit on SNL where Johnny
Johnny Bag of Glass?
Was it Johnny Human Torch with the back of was that what it was? Yeah.
Oh
Johnny
my God. We're going to help. But anyway,
you know what? I'm sorry, kids, if you're dumb enough to do something because you think it's going to happen, don't get bit by poisonous spiders. Don't hang out near like nuclear waste. It's a bad.
It's not going to give you superpowers. Yes, it's Darwinism. But anyway, H.E.R.B.I.E is it's fun. It's tongue in cheek. It's all ages, and I was just delighted reading it. So we've said it on the show 100 million times. If you like Marvel comics and you don't have Marvel Unlimited, you're on drugs. That's all that I can say. Get it? It's $70 a year.
Shop if you really love a physical comic, but if you don't love physical comics,
right,
but you still want to get into the hobby, Marvel Unlimited, do it.
I personally mix and match the physical comics that I collect are old and out of print. I also sometimes will buy a comic that I will frame, and I use
I
a
just
digital
bought
code.
this at the comic shop, Charlie.
Oh
Which
yeah,
book?
I saw
Called
that
The New
this
History
week.
of the DC Universe. I'm like, I'm all in.
I need another Marvel Unlimited. I'll pick that up. But yeah, for $70 a year, and you can roll up to the higher level. Todd and I have the higher one where you get a renewal pack every year with a bunch of goodies in it. But there are also times when it's knocked down to $50. You know what I mean? So, but it's absolutely worth it. But yes, please, of course, as Todd said, support your local comic shop. They have things that you can't get online, like collectibles and just the ability to hang out and
digital file.
Yes, and to talk to other comic book fans. But anyway, I recommend this. And again, these are exclusive to Marvel Unlimited. They have a ton of them. They have X-Men ones, Spider-Man. They have Avengers ones, so on and so forth.
Jeff the Land Shark.
I got to finally get into Jeff the Land Shark. That's my missing piece. But anyway, that wraps us up out of the Geek Easy. I have got my Air Qantas app out. I am ordering up a flight to get us to the land down under. Hologram Tina and the Mutants are awaiting us to talk about M3gan 2.0. Let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week we are talking about M3gan 3.0. Oh no, M3gan 2.0. Oh my goodness, I'm already hopping ahead.
3 plus 2 is 5, or if it's multiplication.
And it's weird because they have now changed the E to like almost like just 3 lines, so it could be whatever it wants to be. Right. When we do get a M3gan 3.0, we don't even get that because it'll just be because they already used the 3, so it's leaked.
It'll be M3gan. Right.
It's like, who is their marketing lead? Maybe they should have thought better of that. But we'll know more because we're going to talk all about this film with M3gan 2.0. It released this weekend, and it's 2 years after Megan's rampage. Her creator, Gemma, resorts to resurrecting her infamous creation in order to take down Amelia, the military-grade weapon who was built by a defense contractor who stole Megan's underlying tech. Gerard Johnstone was the director. Yeah, sure. Stone. Akilah Cooper, Gerard Johnstone, and James Wan were writers. This is by Blumhouse Productions. Atomic Monster is James Wan's company, which is actually owned by Blumhouse. Distributed by Universal Pictures. June 24th was the release date. In New York for some reason. They got the premiere June 27th in the US. 120 minutes. United States was the country of origin. It's in English. $15 to $25 million. The budget probably closer to $30 million. And then $17.2 million where it's tracking as of Wikipedia today.
Yeah.
The actors in this are Allison Williams returning as Gemma, Jermaine Clement coming out as a douchebag.
Oh my God,
bro, gotta love it,
bro.
We've got returning Violet McGraw as Katie, Jenna Davis returning as Megan's voice. We have Amy Donald, who did the body of Megan, I assume.
I'm guessing, unless they recast, yeah.
Yeah, Ivana Sakno as Amelia. And we've got some other characters returning. Aristotle Athari.
I had to look him up. He was a one-season player on SNL about 5 years ago. I had no idea, but he was very familiar.
Yeah. He's playing Christian, not Christian, because he'll tell you you're a bad dude.
Oh, yes.
And the rest are inconsequential, but the rest of the players are returning because once again, I said in M3gan, the first movie, not many people were killed. So there wasn't a high body count.
Right.
A dog will not be returning, and the old lady next door will not be returning.
And Ronnie Chang. She killed Ronnie Chang from The Daily Show.
That's right. I forgot about him.
Yeah, he was the boss.
And she did kill the smarmy, nerdy guy who got the kombucha too. So I guess I'm wrong. She killed quite a few.
Her body count was on the way up. Yes.
Yeah, it's going on the way up. 4 people, I guess. They mentioned 4 people, so I guess I got that wrong. Oh, well. And then this movie, the first movie was 93% tomato meter by critics, 78% on the core audience. The second film, though, a much lower, 58% on the tomato meter, and then 84% with audience members. So basically, we saw an increase there, but decrease the critics. So
now,
there we go, Charlie.
Do keep in mind the other movie being out, 317 reviews gave us the 93%. There's only been 160 for the second one. So, but it would be very radical for that number to, increase by 25%, or more to get closer to that. So,
yeah. And with that, so just to let everybody know, we're going to give our unspoilery overall view and our scores first, and then we'll get into the spoilers. So, Charlie, because we're not going to go through all of the spoiler points, what is your takeaway with M3gan?
I mentioned it back in the core, when you were talking about it, that this, and I watched a video on it that was kind of spawned by the fact this came out, is that this film represented a genre shift within a franchise. So the first film was, as you said, a very dyed-in-the-wool, My Little Buddy, Chucky, killer doll movie, to what essentially turns into an action-adventure film. With some really great comedic elements that I enjoyed, and I'm sure you know of which I speak in particular. My favorite scene, howling in the movie theater. So, I prefer this to the first movie, even though there are some parts of it that are really incomprehensible. The bunker and the AI, and then the bit at the end where it gets very metaphysical, and they're like, which we'll talk about more. And so, I would say I found this more fun. And I like to have fun in movies, a little bit. Definitely there's a lot less punch to it. Because the first movie is like, all right, well, where this is going. It's not like she's going to have a robot companion and everything's going to be happy, slappy, and nice. Eventually, robots want to kill all of us. And this movie was just kind of that in overdrive. Unnecessary dancing tacked on, though the first movie did have the great dance.
The weird, unsettling TikTok dance.
Yeah, exactly. But I found this one more entertaining, and it didn't really contain a ton of thrills, because a lot of the moves I think really seem pretty telegraphed. So, to rate it, I assume is what we talked about here. So if I was to rate it.
Yeah, we'll rate it out of human-like hands.
Yes, human-like hands, which is a necessary creation in this film. I'm going to go 7 out of 10 human-like hands. Had a lot of fun watching it. It's it's no great shakes, but I think I found the genre change to be successful into kind of a comedic thriller of sorts. What about you?
Yeah, I was really surprised they decided to go this route, but I think it's the right way to do it, because I don't know if they want to go the route of Chucky, where it's like, oh, Chucky's back again, but now he's, at a reform school, and the kid, and
like Annabelle.
You kind of run out of ideas. So the fact that they decided to go genre really was fun. I think they dealt with the challenge, and they had some fun with it, and some moments that were very funny. And there weren't the horror elements, so maybe this opens up to people that are not really excited about horror films. And I couldn't remember, Charlie, was the first movie R-rated?
I think so. What does it not say in the little score box we have here?
I couldn't remember, because it felt like a lot of the horror elements were shown off screen.
Kind of dumbed down.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance that it was, without looking it up. So, you're right. But you're maybe in an effort to expand the reach of this, though it hasn't worked, because it's not blowing us away at the box office. But
that's maybe the problem. It's like, how do you reach an audience when you change genres that were already writing this thing off? Because I don't like horror films. That's hard, and I don't know if they nailed the marketing, all the advertising. But this one felt like they dropped F-bombs. They showed some pretty hardcore violence in this, so it didn't feel like they were still going after an adult crowd primarily. So I'm not sure. Maybe they should have gone PG-13 and kneeled into that audience that can, younger kids who like this kind of stuff. They can see it. So maybe that was their biggest mistake. But I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it. I laughed quite a bit. There were some touching moments. There was one moment I howled as well, Charlie. I'm like, I don't know if it's the same moment, but we'll find out in the spoiler section of this podcast I give this a 7.5.
Yeah.
The first movie, I thought nailed its premise, but if they were going to come back and do something different, I mean, there was other movies I felt like we got the shift, but they're hard to do. They really are hard to do. So I'll give this one props for doing it. And the budget wasn't very high, so maybe over the time, I mean, $70.2 million versus a $30 million budget, maybe it'll have legs.
Yeah.
Because, when you're a robot, Charlie, you can take off the top part of your body and have your legs keep going.
You can have all kinds of legs. You could turn back into legs. So, all right. So full spoilers then? Open the throttle.
Spoilers now. If you're interested, I'm going to mark it 113.20. So people who are interested, I'll put that in there in the notes. So
absolutely.
So there you go, Charlie. Let's get into it now.
Let's do it.
You're good at breaking down the elements of the movie.
Yes. So we pick up Allison Williams. Gemma character has relocated from Seattle to San Francisco. So this is taking place in the whole Silicon Valley background. She is part of the foundation with Aristotle Athari's Christian character, who she kind of has a crush on. But they're not really a thing, but they're working on regulation, deregulation. Yeah, they touched upon the fact that, like, well, if you'd be a little more assertive, and don't you remember how Megan says, well, he's not really your type, like she knows more. So they aren't, kind of whatever.
Hanging out with them, and we don't know, but
but for the longest part of the movie until the third act, you kind of feel like they're all on the same side. She has been raising her niece, who she does then refer to as my kid, because that is her kid. She's raising her.
Kelly, I want to say one thing that I want to talk about the first movie. When Katie punches the lead actress, I was like, what? You cannot punch your parent.
Yeah, right. Well, you shouldn't.
She was a horrible kid. I mean, obviously going through like suffering and things like that, and pulling out scissors on your therapist. But once again, I'm like, wow, that was
I'm not remember that about. But in this movie, so the actress Violet McGraw, she's a couple years older, so she's going through that awkward bangs phase that apparently girls go through when they're 15.
Oh yeah,
it's a thing. But she's also learning karate, and so that comes into martial arts, I should say. That does come into the plot as we go forward. But the film opens with Ivana Sacco, who is the rogue Jedi in Ahsoka, and I call her Billie Eilish. You call her some weird Norwegian rapper.
Was it the same girl?
You didn't pick that up that it was the same girl?
I did not.
Yeah, by the end of it, she's full Metropolis. She's in like a I thought, what she looked like at the end, like it was the Silverhawks. That's what I thought. She was one of the Silverhawks.
Kind of like it, or you got like an Ultron's bride.
Yeah, Jocasta. Yeah. She could be Jocasta. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Good,
But so the storyline comes, but we open in the film that Amelia is Ivana's character is a killbot military. She's a military grade woman, like we recently named one of our episodes. She's a military grade woman. She's out there doing her thing, but instead of working for the CIA, she turns on them because she's programmed to capture gas and she's going to take over the world. And there's a MacGuffin that we find as the film goes through that they're closing down on, locked in a vault deep underneath Xerox headquarters, or whatever the hell is the corporation they made up.
It was like a Xerox. It was Exorc.
And it was so the MacGuffin in the film is this chip that was developed in the 70s that was it was an accidental AI because it would turn it would correct photocopies within the copy machine, and it was too dangerous, so they locked it in a bunker. And
that's why all photocopiers and printers suck, because they actually hate humanity.
That's really what's going to uprise. That's Skynet. Yep. Photocopiers. It's a tough business to be, but it's locked in a bunker in a Faraday cage. So the whole third act of the film is a heist. So Megan's intelligence is in this cute little like robot-y thing that we saw at the end of the movie. She's like a smart house, like a Roomba.
Yeah, it was essentially I guess you would call it like almost like a Alexa Spot, Echo Spot, or whatever you call it.
Moving around.
And then it becomes
necessary as the film goes on. for them to, because they're being targeted, they end up having to, our core group of characters has to retreat into a bunker. And this was, I don't want to cut out Jermaine Clement's contribution. He's a fantastic Kiwi actor who we love from the Flight of the Conchords, but he's basically playing an Elon Musky kind of character with a big fake chest
the implant.
and an implant. Yep. He's an implant like Dr. Octopus in the Spider-Man movie, who is seduced and then killed by Amelia so that she can have the chip to further her plans to, take everything
Get
over.
his eye. It's funny because they're making out and all the time he's like, he's got his eyes closed. She's just waiting patiently to get his eye.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's apparently okay with the fact that she is just sitting there
with her eyes open and
actually making out, and she's doing nothing. And it's like, and he's so aloof. He doesn't even understand. Like, that's not human skin, but he doesn't know. He's just in it to win it.
Kind of reminds me again of Elon Musk, but yeah, he doesn't make it, and so our characters are forced into a bunker where down in this bunker, I'm trying to remember the bunker part. I think I got up and went to the bathroom at that point, but I come back and they're down in this like fallout shelter. Is it under her house or something?
It's under the house. Yeah, it's under the house because they're being like approached by FBI and all these agents, and it's their way to get away.
Right. But down in the bunker is the carcass of Megan from the first movie. And she's just eyes, and she looks like was it Furby? She looks like Furby. Well,
she kind of looks like Short Circuit, right? I mean, she kind of looks like Johnny Five still alive. Yeah, kind of like that with like the things and yeah.
And she also gets her team down there. It's her team from the first movie. It's Tess and what's the other guy's name? Tess and Cole, I think, are her team. And they figure out that the only way they're going to stop Amelia from getting the MacGuffin and destroying the world or whatever is to rebuild Megan. So they do have to do that. And they do that beforehand, which is because then there's the big party that Megan has to go to where she's posing as one of these dancers or whatever, and so she gets to dance. But yeah, that's where Jermaine kind of meets his Waterloo. But then they're spending the rest of the movie. They team back up with Christian, and then
it's two different things. So you have like the AI conference, and you have Jermaine's like party to basically bring these things. So two different events, but still kind of like basically Amelia's efforts to basically get all of the information she needs to essentially
to get the MacGuffin,
get all the cloud servers, do all these things, and it's kind of weird because we do get like the FBI / government involved because they want to obviously create a basically an assassin who can do all these things, but it's out of their control, And there's a really, and Charlie, it was really weird. They brought in the one guy who's the head of like the Defense Institute with the mustache,
who gets impaled, but he's okay.
Yeah, he's such a weird dude because he's like so into like, oh, you're gonna go down and all this stuff, and it was such a weird.
He was a weird guy because he was like the big mustache and his hair was a little floppy.
And he talked about like, and by the way, I have the biggest gun. He says it right out loud.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because they all have EMP guns that can take down robots, but it doesn't work for anybody because Amelia, tears through them like a knife through hot butter, and she impales him, but. It's so why? You're going to be fine. We'll get you to the hospital, and he is fine because you see him at the end of the movie, and he it's like getting stabbed by a lightsaber, which is something else that Amelia's character did in Ahsoka to what's her face.
Yeah, and Megan has got the new chip in her head, which basically says you cannot kill people.
Right.
That's the whole thing. You can be more defensive, and that's one of the things with
Murderbot chip.
Cade. Yeah. Kate has basically learned to be defensive. She took keto.
Yeah.
Katie, sorry. Katie can be basically defend herself. She can do a keto. So she's trying to tell Megan basically, you don't have to kill everybody. You can still defend me, but be more defensive and use them against you. So we get more like scenes where she's maybe injuring people, but not killing them in the way. And that's
kind of like it's like in Terminator 2 with Eddie Furlong. It's like you just can't kill anybody. So then, so he just shoots. He shoots people in the leg and says he'll live. It's just
yeah. and Katie tries to put a morality code in, but morality, it's hard to define for a machine. But she basically tells them that. So that actually ends up being the undoing, because when Megan wants to take down Amelia, there's humans around her, so they show like percent lethality and things like that,
just like the
kinda
Terminator.
flew in. Yeah, so it's a good shift, because we're essentially then finally getting into the mix of Megan, obviously a homicidal robot, versus trying to adapt to be a little bit more like normal. And that's the theme of this, is basically said, I was a kid back then. I've learned sense. I'm not the same evil robot I was. So I like some of that.
I'm growing up. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the scene that brought the house down. So you have Gemma doing some because Megan needs a flesh-like hand in order to access one of the scanners to get into the vault where the MacGuffin is, to get the motherboard. That's the thing from the 70s from the copy machine. And they're talking and they're having a lot of this and that. And then absolutely out of nowhere, Megan starts singing the early 90s classic, This Woman's Work.
By Kate Bush. Kate Bush is back. It's all Kate Bush.
Back.
Yes.
And it was
great scene.
The part is where she's singing, and then Katie, she says, Megan, don't go to the Gemma's like,
don't take it to the bridge.
Don't take it to the bridge. And she just keeps going, and eventually she covers her mouth.
And she sets her down.
Yeah.
Pushes her mouth, sets her down. Yeah. And even she has to definitely silence Megan by saying, okay, I get it.
Right.
I don't need your fake empathy song.
Exactly.
Like, that was the first thing of like with Katie, she would sing her songs. It was like, oh, that's so cute. And then she tried to do it to an adult, basically. I know what you're doing, but let's move on. Right. It's okay.
But yeah, that
we get some flim flam, Charlie, right?
We do find out that Christian he's the ultimate villain. He was stringing them all along. But it's kind of funny because they're in the vault and he's recruiting Gemma against her will by putting a chip in her brain, but he's doing all this corpo speak, which just drives me nuts. Like,
you get the sex button. Well, I love that part because I felt like that is very much like a Musk would do. It's like,
you felt like you were,
so like no emotion, kind of like,
at the end of the day, we're all on the same team.
You're an equation I have to solve, and I'm going to just deal with this. And if you're going to be with me, I'm going to put this plant because you'll get along better. We'll have a relationship.
Right.
And and he basically was the big part is Amelia is actually not independent. She's actually controlled by his group to basically move forward with the fact that AI is bad. And how would he prove that? Because we let everybody know that AI does bad stuff because Amelia killed a Chinese
she kills the Chinese ambassador or whatever.
Yeah. So then Christian basically gets to reveal that he's going to do this stuff, and he basically, you just kill all these other people. You'll be under my control and we'll be good to go. And Megan now is dead. And
they pull a quick flip where Cole and Katie are running around and they're like, hey, we can do a hard reboot of Amelia because she's Megan's code or whatever. So for like 5 seconds, Amelia is good and then she's bad again.
Because I just find it funny because like when Amelia is like kicking ass, it's like, why would she get taken down by these dudes? It seems like she couldn't handle them, but obviously because of the plot.
They have the EMP guns, which slow her down but don't kill her, but they're supposed to kill her. So there was a lot in that third act. It was really kind of messy because it was all over the place. And then we get the big conclusion, which is the metaphysical, Amelia accesses the motherboard and says, don't you want to see what's, through, she's like talking like it's Heaven's Gate, like it's the robot. She's like, well, this has shown me everything. It sounds like Kate Blanchett's character at the end of the one Indiana Jones movie with the crystal skulls. She's like, I see everything. And then, but Megan has had a doomsday in her wrist. She has the doomsday button and Gemma's got the switch. So she clicks it and they both die and it kills the motherboard as well.
Yes.
So, and that's the big, big like superhero ending kind of thing, which, and then you're like, oh my God, Megan's really dead, but is Megan really dead? No, because what does she turn into? Clippy.
I did love that, but it was the funny thing was like Cole too, like the fact that like he is so. Let's put it this way: dudes don't do well in this movie, and Cole is the guy who
he's still alive at the end.
Well, he is, but it's like he was the guy that actually tried to leave the company because he essentially says, you know, you're running like a monarchy and you're not doing a democracy with your company.
Right.
He gets mad, and then she gets mad, but he goes off. And then when he's actually infiltrating, trying to do a good thing, what does he do, Charlie? Like the dumbest thing in the world. The because he sneezes. What does he do? The I guess it would be the Kleenex or the handkerchief. Apparently, people use the handkerchiefs to blow their nose. It's the one that actually has the ether that he breathes in and passes out. I'm like, wow, men are incompetent fools, apparently.
Right.
We're all incompetent fools.
Trying to flip the script. So
men are not looked well on in this movie, unfortunately.
Right. But like I said, he lives where other people, obviously Christian meets his end because Amelia finishes him off so she can rip his arm off in order to use his hand to open the motherboard Faraday cage thingy. And in the end of it, so that's what. But in the end, all is well. The EMP goes off, so Amelia's killed. Megan is apparently killed, and the motherboard is destroyed. So evil is finished.
And they go to the UN or whatever to talk about like, hey, this bad stuff happened, and you know what? Not all AI is bad, but we've got to have safeguards exactly, and that's where it ends. And just your point, at the end of the day, in a
lot of ways, you said at the end of the day, corpo speak. At the end of the day, but yes, that's true. But at the end of the day, now you got me doing it. It is a good message because AI is inevitable, but yes, do we have to learn to integrate it into our lives in a way that is safe and manageable? Absolutely. So there was a small portion of a message in this film about killer robots fighting each other, but I was on board from the first time I saw the trailer because I thought this is great. This is like Terminator 2, but it's chicks, and it's got the swears and it's got a fun song in it. So Megan is a lot more fun than the T-1000, without a doubt. Megan's a fun robot. I was on board with Megan,
and they made Gemma sound like the worst person on the planet all of the time. Right. Like everything, you got the sarcastic kid.
Yeah.
Which quite honestly, Mega is now like a teenager. Yeah. So she's doing this whole sarcastic, like pushback and like, oh, really cool, mom. Really cool, dad. Yeah. I mean, so she's kind of like, not respecting parents, but obviously, it was a fun recoup of where she's at. She's obviously, the AI is changing. And she said, like, that was the whole thing. She's like, hey, I'm a different AI, a robot than I was before because I'm actually learning.
It's evolving, which is of course terrifying, but that's what AI is. It evolves.
Exactly. So then, we end with Clippy where she transforms into, it looked like a Bratz doll that is now going to be like on your.
But she's wearing her original outfit and everything, so that's fun. I'm dubious about whether this will continue as a franchise if it only just breaks even. But what was the box office of the first movie? Oh, you don't have that here. Do we know the box office of the first film?
Well, I can find 2 seconds if you can keep riffing.
Because it was obviously good enough to generate this, but I thought this movie was a success because it was fun. It was genre bending. They went in a different direction. And to your point, if they would have just kept plodding along, it would have been, they still make Chucky stuff, and it's like now Chucky's got a wife, and now he's killing people. And what's happening? And there's a show, and he's killing people in the show or something. So it's just, So do something.
Discontinued.
Do something different.
So Megan made $95 million domestic, 180 worldwide, but it was a January release. So I felt like it opened at 30 million. So this will be at half of that, which is just sad.
Okay.
But opening these horror films in the middle of summer, unless you're like something different, which we've seen, it feels like that's a time you open because then you get more opportunity to keep making bank.
Yeah.
In the middle of summer, something else is going to come out that's going to distract us.
Yeah, and it's tough because again, it's a genre bender. They're switching gears, which as we both talked about is a worthy effort. So so I like it. It's in theaters now. Go out there, support it. Neither one of us has it in our top 10. So we won't get dinged by this as we've gotten dinged by a few others so far. But it was fun. I recommend it. I thought it was fun. My friend Tamara was asking me about this afternoon. She says, well, do I really need to sit and watch the first one? I said, you can, but I feel like they serve up enough context that you're fine without seeing it. So if you're like, hey, I'll jump in, hopefully you've listened to the first part of this, not the spoilery part of it. But yeah, go out and see it. I like it. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a fun film to see. I was mildly surprised that they actually nailed the shift of genre, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's good. Check it out. And like I said, if you're not into horror films, this is definitely not a horror film. This is gonna get you your action blitz of the summer. Family friendly, but once again, they dropped a lot of bombs. There was like a lot of blood and gore, so this might be
a little bit less family friendly.
Not hitting that genre too.
Than Terminator, but kind of a lot of the same. But all right, well, that is the show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Todd, where do people find you out there?
They can find me on the blue sky at Todd Oxtra, Secret Friends Unite, and then also on Threads and Instagram and Facebook at Toxtra at Secret Friends Unite, and we are there. But quite honestly, I'm mainly on Blue Sky, so check us out there. But you know what? I want to say to everybody, give us a review on podcasts, subscribe, like our YouTube, because that's where I think we make most of our dent.
Boomity, boomity, bang, bang. I can be found on what I consider to be the top three of the social medias, the Threads, the Blue Sky, and the Instagram. I am at the C3, TheCeeThree. But man, I like to spend my time over on our Secret Friends Unite Discord, having a ton of fun, talking about pop culture and geek stuff. If you're not part of it now, it's free to join. Feel free to send us a note if you can't find it. And that's it. Again, friends, thanks for joining us. Good to have you. I'm going to tell you as always that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
This woman's work is only for androids.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.